When we think of how billionaires are made, we are conditioned to imagine creators, visionaries who invent a new technology, build global supply chains, or engineer products that change the way humanity lives. We are taught that massive wealth is the ultimate reward for massive innovation. But in the shadow of Wall Street, there is a different breed of billionaire. A breed that doesn't build factories. They don't write code, they don't invent anything. They found a glitch in the matrix of global finance. A legal loophole so absurd, so perfectly disguised in the boring gray pages of the tax code, that it allowed them to print their own wealth. Today we are going to look at 5 men, the architects of a financial mechanism that transferred billions of dollars from the working class, from pension funds, and from historic companies, directly into their own offshore accounts. And the most terrifying part, every single move they made was entirely legal. To understand a heist, you have to look at the victim. Imagine a massive, historic retail empire. A company that has survived world wars, economic depressions, and changing centuries. It has tens of thousands of employees, massive real estate holdings, and a profitable, steady cash flow. It is a fortress. But to the 5 phantoms of high finance, this fortress wasn't a business. It was a piggy bank waiting to be smashed open. They didn't want to compete with this company. They wanted to consume it. But how do you buy a multi-billion-dollar empire when you don't want to risk your own money? You use a weaponized financial tactic known as the leveraged buyout, the LBO. It is the corporate equivalent of a hostile takeover, disguised as a rescue mission. This is not a story about capitalism. This is a story about financial cannibalism. Welcome to the invisible heist. Welcome to the boardroom, where the rules are written by the people who break them. Let's break down the magic trick. Imagine you want to buy a luxury mansion worth $10 million. Normal people would need to save up, maybe put down $2 million, and get a mortgage for the rest. If you fail to pay the mortgage, the bank takes your house, and your personal credit is ruined. But our 5 Wall Street titans don't play by the rules of gravity. In a leveraged buyout, the math is twisted into a beautiful, sinister knot. When these private equity firms decide to buy a multi-billion-dollar company, they put up almost zero of their own cash, maybe 2 or 3%. Where does the other 97% come from? They borrow it from massive investment banks. But here's the genius, the terrifying core of the trick. They don't put the debt in their own name. They put the debt onto the balance sheet of the company they are buying. They use the target company's own assets, its real estate, its inventory, its brand name as collateral for the loan used to buy it. It is the equivalent of forcing the mansion to take out a loan to pay for its own hijacking. Overnight, a healthy, profitable company is suddenly suffocating under billions of dollars of high-interest debt. But the private equity titans, they now own the empire, and they carry zero personal risk. If the company goes bankrupt tomorrow, the Wall Street firm loses nothing. The employees lose their jobs, the suppliers lose their contracts, but the guys in the tailored suits, they are completely shielded by corporate law. But that is only the first half of the loophole. The real treasure is how they get paid. Enter carried interest. In the United States tax code, there is a deeply buried provision that treats the profits made by these specific investment managers not as regular income, but as capital gains. If a doctor saves a life or an engineer builds a bridge, they are taxed at the highest income bracket, up to 37%. But if a private equity manager strips a company for parts and walks away with a $100 million bonus, the law classifies that money as an investment return. They pay a fraction of the tax rate of their own secretaries. They lobbied for this. They wrote the legal definition of their own wealth. The system wasn't hacked. The system was legally blindfolded. To create a billionaire out of thin air, someone else has to bleed. Wealth in the world of private equity is rarely generated. It is extracted. Let's return to our historic retail empire. Now owned by the 5 titans and burdened with billions in forced debt, the company must change to survive. The private equity playbook is ruthlessly predictable. First, they sell off the company's real estate to themselves, and then force the company to pay rent on the very buildings it used to own. Then comes the optimization. They lay off thousands of veteran employees. They cut pensions, they slash benefits. The company is starving, gasping for air under the weight of the debt payments. But the owners aren't done. Before the company collapses, the private equity firm executes the most cynical maneuver in modern finance: the dividend recapitalization. They force the struggling, debt-ridden company to take out another massive loan from Wall Street. But this new money isn't used to save the business. It isn't used to pay the workers. It is used to pay a special dividend, a massive cash bonus, directly into the pockets of the private equity owners. They extract hundreds of millions of dollars in cash, legally, while the company burns to the ground. When the retail empire finally declares bankruptcy, the media calls it a tragedy of the modern market. They blame e-commerce. They blame shifting consumer habits. But the autopsy tells a different story. The company didn't die of natural causes. It was bled out. And the five phantoms? They have already moved on to the next target. Their offshore accounts heavier, their tax rates lower, their reputations completely intact. They are celebrated on the covers of financial magazines as turnaround artists. The perfect crime leaves no fingerprints. It leaves only legal paperwork. You might ask, if this loophole is so destructive, if it so clearly benefits a tiny fraction of the ultra-rich at the expense of the economy, why hasn't the government closed it? The answer is the final, terrifying piece of the puzzle: the ultimate defense mechanism. Over the last 2 decades, politicians from every side of the aisle have stood at podiums and promised to kill the carried interest loophole. Presidents have campaigned on it. Senators have drafted bills to ban it. But every single time the legislation reaches the floor, it quietly dies in the shadows of committee rooms. Why? Because the 5 billionaires and the hundreds of others who followed their blueprint used the very money they extracted from the loophole to build an impenetrable wall of lobbyists. They spend hundreds of millions of dollars a year funding political campaigns. They hire the former regulators to be their consultants. They capture the referees. When you have enough money, you don't fight the law. You buy the pen that writes it. The leveraged buyout and the carried interest tax break are not accidents of history. They are not glitches. They are features of a system designed by the elite for the elite. We look at billionaires and wonder what incredible value they added to the world to deserve such unimaginable wealth. But the truth is much darker. The greatest fortunes of our era weren't built by creating the future. They were built by finding the loophole, pulling the ladder up, and charging everyone else for the privilege of watching. The system isn't broken. It's working exactly as designed.